And joining us is Mr. R. Swaminathan. Mr. Swaminathan is a former Indian ambassador to Egypt and Austria and former governor for India at the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna. Ambassador, welcome to DD India News Hour. To begin with, Ambassador, what can you tell us about the just concluded talks in Italy? How was this round of talks different from the previous one?
Thank you, Mr. Ramchandran.
Welcome.
The first round of talks, as you know, like this time as well, it was characterized as constructive by both the parties.
Right.
One difference I would say is that now they are also going to have technical discussions in Oman in terms of, like various possibilities or technical options. So, which again is slightly different. And the fact, of course, nobody really expected a breakthrough at this point of time. And the fact that the talks are going to continue. And again, I would say with speed, as you know that it happened last Saturday, it has happened today on the 19th. The next round of talks is going to take place on the 26th. So there is a certain sense of urgency also to be able to wrap up the discussions fast. So I would say that it is a positive development. And as we all know, dialogue and diplomacy is the best way of proceeding. And that's what's happening now, which is very, very positive.
Indeed, as you say, Ambassador, these are very early days. Only 2 rounds of talks have taken place so far. A third round is planned for the 26th of April in Oman. But having said that, if we take a step back and look at the big picture obtaining before us, would a deal avert a war? And conversely, would a breakdown in negotiations start a war?
If you remember, Trump 1.0 in 2015 was this joint comprehensive plan of action,
right,
which Trump administration 1.0 left. The reason was, I think, there was a feeling at that point of time by that administration that it was not preventing a nuclear Iran, but it was only delaying it. And then there was also other aspects like, like it was not stopping the ballistic missile program of Iran. So now with Trump 2.0, there will definitely be an expectation to have JPCOA plus, I would say. What is that plus is something that one has to see.
Now, according to some media reports, Ambassador Swaminathan, Iran wants guarantees that Trump will not quit a new nuclear pact. Is that practical or feasible, you think? And can any agreement ever remain in perpetuity?
It is possible in terms of, I think that is a kind of a concrete commitment. I would say even the U.S. administration may want in terms of, what Iran commits under that, they should continue. So therefore, I think it's possible that, Iran naturally wouldn't want to again get into a situation where what had happened in the previous understanding that they had, that the Trump administration left in 2018. So that is something they wouldn't want. But having said that, you see, this time, I think there is a sense of urgency also, as you may know, that on 18th October of this year, the snapback mechanism will kick in. What is meant by that is that if you remember, there were a number of UN Security Council resolution which imposed various sanctions on Iran. That was between 2006 and 2010. And if any of the parties to the JCPOA were to go to the UN Security Council and say that there is non-compliance, then all the Security Council resolution which imposed sanctions on Iran, those 6 resolutions will come into force. So there is a sense of urgency. So there is an interest on the part of Iran also to be able to wrap up. And so there is some kind of a meeting of mind between the 2 parties. So I hope that these round of discussions would lead to a positive conclusion.
Another, topic that's coming up every now and then, Ambassador, we keep hearing about a so-called Libya model for Iran. Now, we know that Libya voluntarily gave up its nuclear weapons program in 2003. Would Iran, you think, go the Libya way, or will it go the North Korea way, assuming, of course, that Iran wants a nuclear weapon in that case?
Libya model, as you know, it was dismantling the entire program, which is something which will be, in my view, is not possible as far as Iran is concerned. Rather, Iran will not agree for that. As you know, the whole thing started. Iran incidentally is signatory to NPT from 1970. And they always been saying that, as per Article 4 of the NPT, that they have a right for peaceful uses of nuclear energy. But at the same time, they do an obligation in Article 2 in terms of not acquiring nuclear weapons. So that is what they have been saying. And therefore, I would say that it will be very difficult for Iran to, rather I would say, almost impossible, I would say, to agree for. But at the same time, I'm sure that the way that probably the President Trump 2.0 will approach the issue will be is they would want something, as I mentioned earlier, JCPOA plus, meaning that some kind of, again, assurance in terms of the ballistic missiles and maybe something in terms of the regional stability and the regional issues. But otherwise, to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, that the way that happened with Libya, while it can be a maximalist position in terms of negotiations, and that is not going to be the final outcome, that will be my assessment of the situation.
Ambassador, if as you say, Iran will not dismantle its weapons program, its strategic program, at the same time, does Iran want a nuclear weapon? Is that the general assessment?
If you see, even under the previous JCPOA, Iran's enrichment was restricted to 3.67%.
Right.
As you know, there are three categories of uranium: the low-enriched uranium, the high-enriched uranium, the weapon-grade uranium. The weapon-grade uranium is something which is in the range of 93%.
Right.
And if you see, if any country has a capability of enrichment, it would mean that, theoretically speaking, you can reach there. But then it's a question of what you do and what kind of inspections that you have and how others are given confidence that you are going down that path. So if you again see the Iran's stated policy, I would say a fatwa which was done by the first Ayatollah Khomeini is that having a nuclear weapon is haram, prohibited, and Iran will never go down that way. So that is a broader kind of a context that they have. So I would say that Iran would, I would expect them to emphasize their right to have peaceful applications of nuclear energy. But then to say that it is only with the idea of having a nuclear weapon, perhaps they themselves are probably not thinking it. Though, as I mentioned earlier, that any enrichment capability any country has is a possibility, a theoretical possibility, that you can go for a nuclear weapon in terms of further enrichment of the uranium.
Indeed. And finally, Ambassador Swaminathan, looking at this issue from an Indian perspective, what are India's stakes in this entire Iranian nuclear crisis?
We have civilization relations with Iran, and then Iran is also located in a geopolitical context where it is very important for India not to have any kind of war or any kind of problems in the region, because we have so many people in Gulf. It's an area from where we get our oil and everything. So it's extremely important. As you know, our approach has always been that, in fact, even in this particular U.S. Iran nuclear talks, which is ongoing now, we consider it as a positive development. Okay. We always believe that dialogue and diplomacy will lead to the thing. And again, you see, if you really see, President Trump himself made a mention yesterday, a statement, where he said that he would like to see a diplomatic solution and not rush into military action.
Right. And
then he also said that he is looking for, that he said that Iran has a potential to become a prosperous nation. Another aspect I would say is that, like similar to what happened in the JCPOA last time, you also have an Iran president who is considered, quote, moderate. And again, the foreign minister, Mr. Abbas Araghchi, he was the main nuclear negotiator when JCPOA happened in 2015.
Right.
So again, he's the one who is negotiating. So I'm sure that we are probably in good hands to be able to get a good solution at the end of the day, which will be good for India.
Ambassador Swaminathan, thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.